Uh, Talk to me, Cleveland. Okay, for the people that will be watching this later, welcome to Chill Talk episode
40 minutes in.
33. The quarantine episode 33. So you're here with your brother Kevin Chillhurd at Chill Talk and the super producer Felicia Haney. Great show. We're going to be talking to my BFF Ladosha Wright, and she's having an event, Textured Tales, a virtual discussion, and it will be hosted on my YouTube channel. So, but what we're going to try to do right now, see, I don't know, because we told Susan Hall that she had like, an hour. She might have got ghost on us. So you might want to call Susan Hall, like, girl, get on there right now.
Oh yeah, Susan like, oh, I got time. Let me go. She getting primped and
how
touching up her she got the flat irons on and touching up her lipstick.
So hopefully Susan will jump in with us pretty soon. You want to give her a call, Felicia, or you want to call?
I'm here.
No. There we go.
I knew she was coming. Them lips popping. She was getting.
Yeah, to do it on my phone. You hit the link to my phone, so I'm sitting in front of my laptop waiting. I'm like, okay, it's on my phone. That's all good.
All right. Well, Susan, you're early. You're joining us early, but we haven't been able to. We miss you here in Cleveland. So can you, before we get to talking about what we're doing with the Textured Tales and your contributions to that, let us know where you've been, what you're doing, how you've been doing, what's going on.
Hey, kicking it right here, as you call it, in Naptown. Been here almost 2.5 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I work at the Indiana Historical Society. I am the coordinator of African American history, so I do all things Black in Indiana. So I help curate exhibits. I take in collections. I help people do their research for all kind of projects, and I do programs all about Black folks in the state of Indiana.
Now, tell me what's different. I mean, you were in Cleveland, and now you're from the BK, right? You're from Brooklyn. Yes. Is that where you're from?
Yes. You know.
You're from the BK, but you're a Cleveland rep. You done raised family in Cleveland.
That's right. I grew up in Cleveland as an adult. I spent my formative years in Brooklyn. I did a short stint in Boston for school, and then I came to Cleveland. So now I'm here in Indy. Who knew? You never know where life will take you.
Now, what's kind of the difference between the atmosphere and Black life? What's the difference going on between when you were here in Cleveland and Indianapolis?
Interesting question. Indianapolis, what did UNIGOV back in 1970? So it's really big. Unlike Cleveland, you got Cleveland, the city, and then all the suburbs and townships that are surrounding it. They did the same thing as Columbus. So Marion County, it would be like taking all of Cuyahoga County and turning it into the city of Cleveland. So we are really spread out. So sometimes I don't get the same feeling of density amongst Black people because it encompasses such a large area and people don't all live, because we're not monolithic anyway, but we don't all live in the same space. It's not quite as old as Cleveland. Politically, I would say Indiana in general and Indianapolis more specific is behind some maybe major firsts. I mean, they got Carl Stokes and Richard Hatcher at the same time, but Gary is almost 2.5, 245 away from Indianapolis. And it sometimes sees itself as a suburb of Chicago and not a small city close to Indianapolis. So sometimes there's this big disconnects on folks, to me, as an outsider kind of trying to find my way. So the first here goes one way to look at it as a framing. The first Black elected official to the federal office of House of Representatives in Cleveland was 1969. It was Louis Stokes. In Indianapolis, it was not until 1983.
Jeez.
And it was Katie Hall out of Gary, Indiana. Then after that, out of Indianapolis came Julia Carson, and then came after her, sadly, her passing after 10 years in office, came her grandson, who's currently in office, Andre Carson. So out of this entire state, there only have ever been 3 Black elected officials to the House of Representatives, and obviously none to the Senate, because you can count how many there have been since 1966 to now on 2 hands, less than a dozen. So it's got a different feel and a different vibe, but it's gone through some of the same changes, neighborhood changes, gentrification, abandonment, people moving to, greener pastures in the suburbs. But it's hot and it's pulses, and the arts are kicking here. Black and white arts institutions. And I found myself finding more camaraderie, I would say, with other scholars and my peers trying to do some of the same type of work. So Indiana University at Purdue, at Indianapolis, better known as IUPUI. Here goes an announcement I haven't even put all the way out there. I just got asked.
Exclusive. Come on with it.
Yeah, I just got asked to be, along with 2 other of my colleagues from other institutions, to be a community scholar in Africana Studies. So Nice. It's a faculty appointment with non-remuneration, but it's a 3-year post. And I found my tribe of other colleagues and professionals who work in different disciplines, but under the umbrella of Africana Studies as well, at IUPUI. And it's right across the street from where I am downtown. And I'm proud and happy to do that. And so I stay busy. There is a rich and a varied history to early settlers of Black folks in Indianapolis and Indiana in particular than you see in Cleveland. So I'm learning a lot about that, traveling around the state. I've been all kind of places, same as Cleveland, New York, every other place where people are native don't go. Like, I've never been over there. I don't know where that is. Well, I've been down to the southern tip of Evansville and Lyle Station and Princeton and all the way to Gary. And I've yet to go to Fort Wayne. So that's next on my list, to go spend some time there. And a former
Michael Jackson's
Clevelander.
house.
Huh?
Did you go to Michael Jackson's house?
Yes, more than one time.
What's they have an address? It's the something Jackson Street.
2300.
Yeah, and it's right across from the very famous Roosevelt High School. As you know, many may or may not know, my husband teaches architecture, and he does social environmental justice architecture as well. So we take these distress tours to cities, and Gary is one of them, to look at why has it changed, why the abandonment, why the decline. And on that tour, oftentimes, you just can't go there and not go to, see the Jackson house. So my first trip there made up for wanting to go there when I was a kid, because I am of that era. So no doubt.
I want to say what's up to my brother Craig Baxter. Stereo, the hitman, is watching in the building. And our man Tremaine Willis, not only did he donate the prize that we most recently gave away from his company, make sure you put that information in the chat line, man. But he's the one who donated the prize that we gave away. It was the PayPal card reader. So he's also kicked in something on the PayPal in the tip jar. So keep it moving. Don't let him be the only one. You already see it in there. $, what is it? I forgot what it is.
Money to chill.
Money to chill, the number 2, $ money to chill. But thanks, man. And yes, he is the one who donated, contributed the PayPal card reader on behalf of the company that he's with. And he's going to put that in the chat line. and which we
And
gave
he
away.
also said congratulations to you, Susan. He said congrats to you.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Susan, I want to ask you, and Felicia, made it, I think it was a joke, but we definitely understand what she was saying, that you were the only Black person that we had over at the Historical Society. I don't know if you were or not, but it seemed like you were.
At different times, I was.
Okay.
During my 12-year stretch, there were 2 women who worked in marketing, not at the same time. So there were, and I was the only one in the library, in the archives. So it was a very interesting time and interesting place.
So is it more Black faces at the location? Now, tell me the name of the facility that you're at in Indianapolis.
It is the Indiana Historical Society.
Okay, that should be easy enough.
So instead of where Western Reserve just did what's considered the old Western Reserve, say from Conneaut to maybe Lorraine, if that, it would be the stretch, and maybe as far south as, maybe Solon, not much further. We collect and tell the history for the whole state.
Okay. And did other Black people work there with you, or you the sole representative again?
In the library, there's one other who does digitization, but as far as in the collections, I am the only one. But that's okay, because I got a lot of support, a lot of energy. I've done a lot of programs. I work on the curatorial team to make sure that the narrative is telling the story and including us the way it could and should. And can be more than that. I can't tell other stories as well, but my primary function is to tell our stories. So our biggest exhibit right now, as we'll talk about a little later, is about Madam Walker.
All right, Madam C.J. Walker. And I do want to remind people that before you left here, you contributed to 2 major exhibits in Cleveland. Certainly the Stokes exhibit, and we got you at least for the planning session of the George Forbes campaign. So it was, again, I always loved working with you. And so we did have the ability to catch you at the very beginning.
Just at the transition.
Just as you were transitioning.
Yeah, and I got here and got busy quick. I thought I had some gear up time, and I've been really busy. Lots of presentations. I've got to present at scholarly conferences at ASALA last year in Charleston. This year at AASLH, is the American Association of State and Local History. So it was my first time presenting there. Sadly, it was virtual, but and I met some really key, this will be part of what we may talk about later, some sisters that are in the business with me at different institutions, that we have formed a good camaraderie, sisterhood, crying each other's shoulders, laugh, sometimes go off about what we are dealing with, the microaggressions or macroaggressions of what it's like to work in dominant culture institutions. So we presented together about, and a topic was, what kind of ancestor are you going to be as a historian? And in the moment, how we are supportive of each other's scholarship, each other's work. And although our institutions technically are competitors, we don't compete with each other, we support each other. So if one has an exhibit opening, we all try to go. We post up, some are Greek, some are not. So I have found my tribe here too. Is a lot of that is available here. And so we post up and say, hey, come check her out, come do her thing. And then I met some other brothers too. So I have been able to formulate a very welcoming group of other Black folks that are doing the work in different forms or another, in scholarship or in the arts.
Well, and I do know that on a regular occasion, some of the best times that I, and some of the last times I was able, before my father passed, we did the yearly Shrek to the football game.
Yes, Circle City Classic.
Circle City Classic, man. That was, man, just to make that road trip with my father and his boys from the Gable boys from Florida. Man, I made that trip, man. They were hilarious. They were talking smack to people all along the way. I'm like, can any of y'all old dudes fight? Because y'all talking a lot of smack to people. If something break out, I need to know who I got working with me. But yeah, no, the Circle City. So is the Circle City Classic still been going on?
It's still going on this year, obviously for
Right.
COVID reasons. Was postponed, but then you still have Indiana Black Expo every year.
Okay.
So I get to participate there with a big display and a traveling exhibit the last 2 years. This year we did not. So there's stuff happening, there's stuff going on, and some institutional things like Circle City Classic and like Black Expo. But what I will say, I haven't lost my Cleveland edge, because the first time I went to the Circle City Classic, some local people were in town, Zoom and April.
Okay.
And
Richard,
it
I talked to Zoom today.
A nice September fall day. So I had on, a jacket. I kind of had layers, and I brought a wrap that I could use as a blanket too. And I got all the way down to Lucas Oil Stadium and found out it was kind of cloudy, and it was a little chilly, fall chilly, not winter chilly. And they had the dome closed. I said, I'm a fair weather, outside football fan anyway, but I was like,
right.
Really, this is not how you watch football with the dome closed and it's only 55 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But it was a good
Lucas Oil
time.
Stadium is beautiful. I mean, obviously I've been there with my dad for the Circle City, and it's just strange to be in a domed stadium.
But when it's 50, 55 degrees outside, I go, This is supposed to be up in this fall. What you talking about?
Before Felicia may have some other question or something to talk to you about, but I do want to take you back, back to the Historical Society one more time. It was something that you put me on with there, and I had not known about it till I heard you share the information, and that was in the founding of Cleveland, Ohio. Of course, we're named after Grover Cleveland, and but
Moses Cleveland.
Excuse me, Moses. That's the president. Moses Cleveland. I mean, I used that in a bar. I should remember that. I used Moses Cleveland in a bar. But anyhow, you put me on with the information that it was a brother, a black man, that was instrumental in the founding of the area that would become known as Cleveland, and it was a brother who they referred to as Black Joe. Is that
Joe? Yeah, he was from New York, up by Erie, out that way, Jamestown area, and he lived with Native Americans. He married a Native American indigenous woman, so he knew the language up around Seneca, and he was his guide. Just like Matthew Henson, same thing with Admiral Perry. So how did he get here? Where'd he go? Who did he talk to? Who helped him talk to people? He gets no credit for it. We don't even know his last name. Joe.
Okay, that's all we know is Black Joe. That's all the name we have.
Yeah, that's all I know.
No, his name is I would actually recommend this to anyone who's in Cleveland, or if you ever come to visit Cleveland, if you haven't, to take what is the tour called? The trolley.
Lolly the trolley.
Lolly the trolley.
Is it Lolly the trolley? I guess it is. That takes you around and tours the different areas. Okay, so a Lolly the trolley tour. I went on one year, and it was like amazing. So we specified to them that we wanted to do mostly to talk mostly about African American things within the city. But it was not actually the Lolly the trolley driver who brought up that fact. There was someone else, a woman who just so happened to be a passenger on the trolley with us, who brought it up, and she called him by name. And it's I actually think I have it written in my phone somewhere, but I have to remember how. Get up.
Yeah, I never knew him by last name.
Let me go back to
and they called him Black Joe, but he doesn't get any credit, no real credit.
Right. All we know is about Moses Cleveland.
Yeah.
Black Joe hooked it up. Looked it up.
Okay,
I don't know if Felicia's fire alarm is back off yet. You still fire alarming?
I think it's off for the moment, but you know how those can be. They'll stop for like 30 seconds. I think we're good. A second or two. I'm gonna look up that name though on my phone because I
Okay.
remember writing it down, and I'll double back with that.
Okay. So, but now we.
But I also didn't know.
Ahead,
Let me ask you this too, and it kind of leads to another question I wanted to ask you in terms of voting. But so, what can you tell us, Susan, about? I'm sure most of you have heard the story that George Washington is not supposed to be the actual first president of the United States. It was supposed to be a Black man.
I have heard that. I have read that. I don't have enough information one way or another, factual, about whether it was, and I haven't taken the time to look at those citations that, or if there were any in the post that I saw in social media about it. So
we can talk about, but that's the John Hanson under the Articles of Confederation,
right.
And that's you know what? That's another thing that we have to get deeper into. My dog is. Hold on one second. Let me get.
Everybody got background noise today.
But yeah, that's we might do a thing to straighten that whole thing out. I certainly have a lot of information on that, and I know some other people that have some information on that. But we could probably get that one worked out. I know you said you had another question, Felicia. Did you?
Well, no, I was just gonna kind of lead that into in terms of discussing that. I think that has come up a lot more just because we're in voting season. Mm-hmm. So more people have been talking about it recently. I had heard of it before, but like you said, Susan, I hadn't really done a whole lot of research on it, and maybe just like a basic Google search. And that's probably have been so long that I really don't remember all the particulars that even came up with it, other than the fact that he paid off the he paid off somebody in silver.
Yeah, it was the Confederacy. That was John Hanson. It was and that was under president under the Articles of Confederation. But like I said, we probably can get that straightened out.
Those things matter though. We get caught up in the first, who's the first, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And the reality is, like, Carlotta Bass is the first Black woman to run for vice president, but she didn't run in our two-party system, basically, from either of those. So she was an independent. And at the time in 1952, it was, a smaller group of people and a smaller convention. Mm-hmm. So by saying that Kamala Harris is the first Black woman to run for VP it doesn't take anything away from Carlotta Bass either. Just like is George
depending on who you ask, they don't consider her Black. I guess it depends on who you
Well, you know what? One drop up in here, we can read that legacy and those keys for here to kingdom come. Because guess what? Ain't nobody mistaking her for a white girl in the room. And nobody is going to claim her as a fully white person, no matter what her lineage is. And everybody is more mixed up than they like to admit sometimes when we are claiming how Black we are. Mm-hmm. So, and then don't know enough about who they are and whose they are when they start having that kind of argument and debate about, well, what is she? So I'm not going to even pick that fight tonight, but
that's a show that we can pick up and get into that as we're in the season. Real quick, and I just want and this is bringing us back to something we had talked about that you had brought up. Is I saw I don't know if you saw this show. It's been a show talking about the Earth after people, and it talks about how once people are no longer on the Earth, how the Earth reforms and plant life grows and animals and all. And they were saying we got a clue what it might look like in parts of Gary, Indiana, because they show where the Jackson 5 used to perform. It's like this amphitheater.
It's gone. No. they just tore that down. But if
Right.
you get a chance, Olin Dotson, and if you look at, you can look him up on YouTube. He got a TED Talk, and one of his YouTube videos, he has got a podium in the middle of what was a street that had houses, and you could drive down the grid of the streets. The street is still there. Most of the sidewalks you can't see, and where the houses used to be, if you actually walk up and in and through them, you will see the foundations. But they have it looks rural, big square blocks of nothingness, and then there might be a house and it's abandoned, and there might be a couple of houses where people still are living, but there's these big swaths of grids of streets, or where you see trees growing up through a house. So you can see that on his YouTube channel, Olin Dotson, his TED Talk, and I have photographs. I mean, if I could manipulate my phone and still be live on Zoom, I could post some of them too. I mean, it's amazing to see how it looks as rural, if not more rural, in some down south spaces that we've come from.
All right. We have just been joined by my BFF, Ladosha Wright, in the building. We're also going to bring Rashana in the building. She just came out of the Zoom waiting room. I do want to say what's up to some people that are on our chat. I see that my man AP, Anthony Paul Alexander, in the building. Our boy Drew Parker. Drew, you left us hanging for trivia night. You might have been that one that would have got us back to first place, because second is just not doing it for me, Drew. So
Right, don't come in here putting up no fists when yesterday you was like this.
Right, he gave us the deuces. So yeah,
out on us.
Yeah, so no doubt. But yeah, we have my Ladosha, what's going on?
I just finished your wife's and daughter's hair, so I was like, woo, 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 woo.
Let me see what that, Jordan, let me see your hair. Let me see my daughter's hair. But yeah, so Ladosha, and we have Sister Rashana in the building. What's going on,
Yay!
sis? All right, she's on mute. You on mute, sis. Okay, we're getting it together. She's trying to.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now we don't see you. We got your voice. There we go.
All right, there I go.
We got the whole technique now.
Okay,
We got
I'm
the
in.
total science. Ladosha, the big event is coming. You see, we had Susan Hall Dotson in the building, holding it down until the crew got here.
The world's sexiest historian is what I call her.
That's what you call it, the world's sexiest historian?
The world's sexiest historian.
I can go with that. I'll go with that one. So the big event is coming up, and I'm proud to say that it will be on the Kevin Chillherd YouTube channel. So anybody that's watching right now, we'll provide the actual link, but you can just go to YouTube for Kevin Chillherd, and it'll take you to my page. So you might want to go there now, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So when we go live with Ladosha, you will not miss it. So, but don't do it right this second.
Not this second.
Not this second. But Ladosha, tell us what's going on with Texture Tales. Tell us about this big event. What's going on?
So about maybe like a month and a half ago, Felicia was actually in the salon. I was like, yo, come here, I got an idea. And so this idea is called Texture Tales. And so I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity for one, during the pandemic, a lot of people are in the house, they're online, some people can't go out, some people have unfortunately been getting sick. Some people are without a job, they're in between blessings. So they're needing a lot of help with their hair. So that's one. Then the other token, you have a lot of people that's just really misinformed. They're on a lot of platforms, telling a lot of stuff that's not true. And so I think the challenge is that we're not on the platform. So in the salon, you know, hairstylists, we're like, why are they listening to these people on social media and on YouTube? And it's really because we're not there. And so I don't know everything. I just know hair. But I do get asked a lot of questions. I do hear a lot of things, you know, that historically is probably incorrect, but I'm not a historian. That's Susan's expertise. And so I thought, you know what? How about we bring all the experts to my panel and then chill, because you are like the super duper moderator. You know how to ask the right questions. You're always on the pulse. That's my favorite word, the pulse of the community. And so you know how it gets, you know, kind of misconstrued. So because you're really good at that, and people know that this is what we do together because of the Know Thyself think tank. So this is like an alternative to that, you know, to really help people understand more about hair, but from the people who know it.
Mhm. Now we have Susan here, and
So,
she's gonna
I'm
be.
getting this straight. Is Chill one of the people who know about hair? Because this is news.
he he knows how to dig up the dirt, girl. Like, is this true? I heard.
You know how to scratch a scalp?
Man, please,
What kind of dirt you
man.
need?
I've been doing women's ponytails for 40 years now. But we have Susan here, who's been, you know, we've been talking to, just catching us up on what she's been doing. But she's gonna be, as you said, bringing up some information from a historical point. But we have Sister Rashana here right now. And if you want to introduce her, Ladosha, and then we have some other people that will be involved that we're going to find out about later. But since we have this sister in the building, Ladosha, let us know how we came to be gifted with this sister right here.
So Rashana already know. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm like her number one fan. That's why I stalked her on social media and in real life. And so I actually had the opportunity. I sat next to her during an interview, and I was like, I was trying to rub up against her. And she has a salon that's really centered around children's hair care. And so, excuse me, as hairstylists, we know that, you know, the foundation of hair care starts in the home, but children's hair care is really important. And so this is Rashana's expertise. And as a cosmetologist, we hear some very bad things that's being said about children's hair. We also have the issue of like transracial adoption. We also have the issue where children's hair is not like their parents' hair. We also have this issue where parents don't really know how to do the child's hair, or think that parents should. So Rashana is the person who understands this way better than I, because her entire business is around children's hairstyles. So she can help debunk a lot of myths about children's hair, the role that parents play. So this is why I asked her to do everything, but I said, can you please do this for me? And so she was like, okay, I'll help you
I
out. So
was
that's so that's Rashana. And then her career, she can tell you more about her career herself, but her bio is like the bomb. I don't know if you read it, but she got it going on. I'm just like,
okay.
Rashana, talk to us, sister. Introduce
That was
yourself.
that was a nice introduction.
It was nice.
It was.
it's true.
Well, let us know who you are, where we got you from. Talk to us.
Okay, I'm Rashana Bates. I'm the owner of the Kids Style Lounge. I have one business in Garfield Heights, Attorney Road, 4604 in Garfield. And then I have another location on 81st and Kinsman, 8005 Kinsman Road, inside the box spot.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. So what made you decide to specialize in children's hair?
Well, a lot of the salons, they have signs up that say no children allowed unless being serviced. And to be honest, a lot of people, they don't want to service children, period. So I just feel like you have to start from the beginning to even get healthy hair. So you have to start with children. So you train up a child the way that they should go. So if you teach them young, by the time they get our age, they won't have all these horror stories about hair. So that's why I got the Kids Style Lounge to help everybody out.
Oh, nice, nice. And so Dosha, now what now that this your superstar you bring it to the event. So what are you expecting? What do you want the people to know? What brought you to her is bringing you to her, us to her to the event. Tell us something else about it. It makes it special.
So this is what makes her special to me. Is that number one, she understands that children's hair is maturing as the child ages. And so a lot of people don't understand that the hair that the child has at 5 will not be the hair that they're going to have when they're 12, and it won't be the hair they'll have when they're 17. So she understands that the hair will grow up with the child and that the hair care has to change. So you have people that saying, well, when I was 12 years old, Rashana will be able to say, well, a lot has changed, since you were 12. So let's see what we can do that's new. So I think that she's going to do a really good job at helping people understand that children's hair, it does change. And so a lot of people, they think that when they have the baby, the 9-month-old hair ain't the same as the 1-year-old hair, particularly
Absolutely
when
not.
you're talking about like transracial adoption. We see this a lot. And so a lot of transracial adoptive parents have told me, and I know Rashana has heard these stories as well, where people will walk up to them and say horrible things to them because the child's hair isn't combed. So if they're white and their child is, black, or if they're, Latino, the child's hair is straight, or any that's different. And if it's not the way it should look, people will say mean things without realizing that the parent really just, they don't know. And the parent is sometimes confused because they've adopted a child, or they become a foster parent to a child whose hair is changing, before they can even learn the concept of what to do with that texture. And now they're like 7 years old, and it's like, what happened to Layla's hair? It was so soft. So we need an expert like Rashana to help everybody understand that that hair is going to change. And the products that you use on your hair, as an adult, you probably can't put that on the 3-year-old's hair.
Well,
So
Shana, could you expand on that a little bit from your expert opinion?
Well, everything that Ladosha said is absolutely correct. It's just a lot of, sometimes people see children and their hair is not combed, or little boys and hair is not cut. And sometimes they feel like it's because they're being neglected. And that's not always the case. The parents just don't know. And that's why the Kids Style Lounge is here. And I'm here to educate people and help them with their kids' hair. Sometimes they're busy, their schedules may not permit. You have single parents who they say, well, on Monday we gonna do baby girl hair, and then Monday we gotta pick up the boy from basketball practice, or we gotta go to Bible study. And sometimes they just don't get around to it because the schedules don't permit. So that's why you need experts to deal with children here, to be able to help them in the system along the way.
Well, and as children, as you work with these children, how does their concept of self often relate to their hair, especially in young girls?
Well, when you young girls, especially, but young men as well, when you look good, you feel good. So the self-esteem is well needed, especially as far as education. Just being a well-rounded individual, you want to be able to look good and feel good. So it definitely starts from the outside in. Some people say it don't, but I'm with the beauty industry, so I'm gonna go with the outside first. I'm sorry.
All right, can you shout out some of how can people keep up with you on social media?
Okay, on Instagram is Kids Style Lounge, all one word. Facebook is Kids Style Lounge 1.
Okay, Now, Ladosha, who else do we have participating in this? And we're
Well,
going to get back to Susan, but who else do we have?
so we have Kofi Paisai of the
Kofi
Kofi Paisai
Paisai, my brother.
Yes, yes, yes. So you know I had to bring him in because his expertise is in West African history. And so a lot of us are not aware that there are a lot of African Americans who are descendants, of West Africans, unfortunately, via the slave trade. And so we need to have that type of expertise brought to the table. Also, a lot of people think that hair care for African Americans started at slavery. So this is why we're having all these experts on here to let them know we have a history before slavery. But Rashana and I are hairstylists. So when we start talking, they're like looking at us like, y'all ain't no historians. We're like, well, Susan is. so so cosmetologists, we're not often looked at as the brightest bulb in the pack, unfortunately. So we need to be on this platform to show that cosmetologists, we don't just do their hair, but we actually collaborate and we work with them, and they help bring credibility to the information that we're sharing with our customers. So when customers say, like, I don't comb my child's hair, I finger comb it. And Rashad and I would be like, well, finger combing, you know, it won't work. And they'll say, well, I saw on YouTube and Black people can't comb their hair like white people. Well, we need Susan to help them understand that we have a rich history with combs, but they're not going to believe Rashana and I. So this is another reason why we have to have this. And Kofi Paisai having that background, that expertise, that research, and he's also done a lot of research around hairstyles. Um, he can help clear that type of stuff. And I don't think people are being mean to Rashana and I. It's just that they don't have the education. So, and she and I, we're not the only cosmetologist who's promoting or teaching that we have a history before slavery. But unfortunately, there's just not a lot of cosmetologists saying that. And so, like I said, we're at work. We're not always on these platforms. So this is why she and I decided to come from behind the chair and let them see us as people who care about people as much as we care about hair.
Now,
So that's Kofi Pasai.
Now, before I ask you how easy was it to get Susan, because she's a busy, important woman. I don't know what you had to do to get Susan, but before I ask you about that, I just want the brothers to know, hey, Kofi Paisai, first of all, that brother got the coldest headline in the game. Hey,
as Carmine would say,
brother Kofi, man, he uses scientific tools to man. Hey, that brother, hey, he got the coldest headline in the game. Brothers out here, get your Kofi Paisai headline cracking. But no, I can't wait to see what my brother Kofi Paisai.
So let me just clarify. Is it you four then?
No, we have more. No, we have 3 more people we haven't mentioned yet.
So who are the other people?
So next up we have Mary O. So Mary O is she's the owner of Selmar Travels. She's also a writer, and she's a native of Ghana. And so she, to me, is really important because we're seeing a lot of people that are fed up with America because the way we've been treated because of our hair, and they are repatriating back to Africa. So we need to have someone on to talk about that. Also, we're hearing language like people will come in and say, do you guys do tribal braids? And I understand that that's not a word that Africans like to use when it comes to braid styles. So they prefer that we know the tribe that we're talking about. So we need Mary to help us out so that we're not being offensive. So she's going to talk about repatriation. the culture of hair in Africa, because a lot of people think because they went once or they saw a YouTube video about women, hair in Africa, that, Africa is like a city. Like, no, guys, it's a continent. And so with all these countries, and so they have different, norms and cultural practices around hairstyle care. So Mary is going to be the person who can help us out with that.
Okay, so did we get all of the people?
Dr. Tamika Ellington.
Okay.
No, we have Dr. Tamika Ellington, and she is the co-curator of the, I want to say, I don't know, this side of the map, museum that's dedicated to the art and history of textured hair. And the exhibit is called Textures. And she's also the author of a book titled Make Fear Your Superpower. So she knows about the politics, the history, all the twists and turns of hair as well. So, and we need to promote the exhibit as well. So we definitely need her expertise on the platform. And I think that's everybody.
Okay, now before I ask you, what did you have to do to get Susan Hall Dotson in, and what she's going to be contributing? And since I do not have hair, well, I don't have a lot of hair, I'm gonna let Felicia start getting it in right now. But what made you want to reach out to Susan? How easy was it? How did you get her? Did she have to look at her schedule? Did you have to call a person, her people? How did we get Susan Hall Dotson in this?
So I got down on bended knee, and I was like, "You're not together." So I got on bending knee with flowers and hairstyles, and no, I'm just kidding. So I know Susan. She is someone who I admire immensely. So I'm always sharing ideas with Susan as well. And I've been dying to work with Susan since I've met her. And so we've tried to do things before, but our schedules and things just wouldn't really unfold. So and now I think she is now over the Madam C.J. Walker's archives, and I feel like I talked Susan into that because I was just talking to her so much about hair and history, that there it is. She ends up as that being a part, not the only part of her career. And so she knows my heart. And so by her working with the Madam C.J. Walker exhibit, there are so many myths around Madam C.J. Walker and hair. It just doesn't make any sense. And there is no other person who can clear this up next to her great granddaughter than Susan Hall Dotson. And she's cute,
All right, Felicia, I'm gonna let you handle this while I go see if there's any food going on in my kitchen with everybody with brand new hairdos.
You still on the clock for another 30 minutes, sir.
Handle it, Felicia.
So I did want to say, because I've heard we've talked about history, as it pertains to hair in quite a few different ways in the conversation. So I would like for Susan to jump in and maybe speak to, because Ladosha, you mentioned before about interracial families, meaning like families of different cultures who have adopted Black children and who don't know how to do their hair and things of that nature. So I want to ask, is it sometimes that they just don't know how to do the hair? Or is it sometimes that they don't know how important hair is to our culture? Because some other cultures may not share the same love of it. I mean, I feel like everyone puts beauty on this pedestal, but maybe not in the same ways, because they don't have maybe some of the same textured hair, or the same way, or the same, having to deal with it the same way. So they don't see it as such a big thing. So like you said, when we see maybe a child who's with a person of a different race, we're like, what are they doing with that kid's hair? They don't know, and blah, 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 blah. But maybe it's that they don't know, or maybe it's just they don't know in the sense of how to do it, but they may not know in the sense of that it's even that important. You know, some people might look at it as like it's just hair. So I was wondering if any of you really, but Susan specifically, if you could speak to kind of how this has been a part of our culture so much historically, and you know, why we have so many entrepreneurs like Ladosha and Rashana, you know, who are in the hair business and successful.
Okay, I'm gonna start with, yes, it's very important in the Black community, always has been a cultural thing. It's familial, it's a community-based thing. I mean, Ladosha was joking. Aside from doing my hair for many, many years and being a very good friend and colleague and sister in the struggle, we all got a story to tell about our hair. But I would flip that narrative a little bit. It is a big deal for all cultures because it is a billion-trillion-dollar industry around hair and has been, particularly in America, but most parts of the world. People are buying and selling all kind of products for Black hair, for white hair, for this hair, for that hair. You want a curly, you want a straight, you want perms, you want braids, you want, you know. So I think particularly for women's hair, but men too, barbershops, we can get, that's a whole nother conversation on how Black men in America, particularly during Jim Crow, were able to thrive and survive because they were barbers, not doing Black hair, but barbers doing white men's hair. So there's George Myers, who had shop in the Holiday House. Here was a man named George Knox, who went on to buy a Black newspaper called the Indianapolis Freeman. But he couldn't do Black hair in his salon, in his barber shop that did white men's hair. But he was the expert and the go-to person. And that's what got him politically connected along the way from doing white men's hair. I think we carry this emotionalism about our hair. Pride on the one hand and disgust on the other hand, handed down by this dominant white culture that says our natural hair is not pretty. But even now you can go into, that's something else we could dispel. Africa is a continent, there's 55 countries, and each country is not monolithic. It's not an African culture. Each, just like Glenville's not Shaker and Shaker's not Pepper Pike, and rivalries and factions and different ways of cooking foods and doing hair. But I said all of that to say that you can go there now and people are bleaching their skin and they using relaxers and what kind of braids and getting weaves. So there's a universality of styles and products. And so there's, on the one hand, we got the repatriation, and there's others who are indigenous and have lived there their whole lives, who are following European styling methods at the moment and have been too. I mean, Madam Walker, as we go to that, Madam Walker's company was born out of a necessity, but she wasn't the first. There were many other Black women who had hair care products and companies, but the person who gave her start was Annie Malone out of St. Louis. But Madam Walker's need to earn a living to feed herself and her daughter, she was selling somebody else's products and she decided to sell her own. But her need wasn't just born out of vanity, was born out of necessity because she was losing her hair. Think about, we have all these things now for EPA and emissions and dirt, and we still dispelling, right, Ladosha? We still dispelling, Rashana, we still dispelling how often Black women should and should not wash their hair. Her hair was falling out because she didn't have access to indoor plumbing and running water, and she was working so hard. And the products like we have now weren't the products we had then. And stress will make your hair fall out too. And she was a washerwoman before she was a millionaire, before she was a businesswoman in our traditional sense. She was washing people's clothes and cooking people's food. And doing laundry back then wasn't as convenient push button washing machine, hauling the heavy laundry, hauling the water, making the soap, hanging it up, ironing it out, and nothing was electric. So her business, and while she was doing it, there were others doing it as well. They just didn't rise to the level of success that she did. So historically, we act oftentimes, as Ladosha said, that our history and our culture just showed up in 1619, to use a current date phrase that we use often when we arrived here. Well, that's not true, you know, but it's not monolithic either. Each West African country is not the same. How people did things in Sierra Leone is not the same thing as in Ghana, is not the same thing in Nigeria. And some people came from the interior. And what were the staples and the products and the things that they used to comb, wash, braid, and even maybe iron? You know, heat is not new to a hot comb. You know, what did people use to take care of themselves and to beautify and for hygiene? It's not just something that, oh, wow, we learned this when we got here and we were living in the Stone Ages. That's them, not us. And I disagree with Ladosha that people do listen to you, because I listen to you. How to take care of our hair. Her book and her training and her classes have been important to get us where we need to be, because we've been fed a lot of misinformation. And yeah, me too. Kitchen hair, kitchen mess, grandmother miss, you know, don't wash your hair when you're on your menses, and all right. You know, we can go on and on and on. Products have changed, using Vaseline, but back in Madam Walker's day, they were using some levels of sulfur because they were trying to treat these really severe scalp and hair problems that were caused by what? Lack of proper hygiene and sanitation and availability to those things that we right now, some take for granted and some don't think that we need to do it as frequently as we should.
Right. I wanted to jump in real quick and ask Rashana, and I hope this didn't come up while I was running in the kitchen to see if there was some food. But first of all, do you come across white parents who have either interracial children or just, you know, Black children coming to you about how to care for their hair? And if you do, what questions do they ask? How do you deal with those questions? Talk to me about that if you can.
Yes, I do. I have parents that have biracial children, or again, like you said, adopted kids, and their texture of hair is not like their own. So they don't know exactly what to do. So I just guide them along the way, depending on the texture of the child's hair, how to maintain it, how to manage it. Some people have this, I don't know where it comes from, that like children's hair is different than just hair. So they won't shampoo it. They leave it tangled up. I don't know what this thing is about, but they won't use conditioner. They won't use the basic, just the basic necessities that you need to manage hair to make it more manageable and easier for the parents to take care of the children's hair. And a lot of people, that's just something they just don't know. They don't know that they should clip split ends. They just let the kids' hair just break and split on up and break off. And then they say, well, her hair is falling out over here and it's a patch over there. But then I said, well, have you ever used conditioner? How do you shampoo it? And so they'll say, well, I shampoo my hair once a week. I get my hair done every 2 weeks. But the kids' hair, they just let it go. So I have that conversation pretty often with a lot of adults as far as managing and taking care of kids' hair.
Okay. Yeah, because I know, and I don't know if any of you have been through this, but it was funny to me when I first went to Kent State University. I went to college, and after the white people figured that you're a nice enough Black person that they can like talk to you. And Ladosha's laughing, but it's crazy. One of the things they want to ask you, men, women, can they touch your hair?
Mhm.
And that's a, and you know, it take them a minute to get comfortable enough to think that they can ask you that. But Ladosha is cracking up. Ladosha, that is a serious thing. Why are you laughing, Dosha?
Yeah.
That didn't happen to me in
That's
college,
true.
but go ahead.
That happened to me in high school. I went to Trinity, so it was way more Caucasian people than black, and they always, like, if I have a style, you know, we can have a style in our hair for 3 days a week, and they can't figure out how your hair still look like that. How is your hair still like that? And they always would say, "Can I touch it? Can I see?" They would ask me that all the time.
So
Yeah,
so
so
it
this
wasn't
is
just me.
No,
and so
not
this
just you. Not
right,
at
and
all.
this is why we need this all of this conversation. So Felicia, now you see how we're gonna be going down, how it's going down on Sunday. So this is why we need to have this platform. We need to talk about, can I touch your hair? And why they are
Right.
so inquisitive
He
about
said,
our
"No."
hair.
I am not a
Uh,
pet at the zoo. This is not a
um,
petting farm.
so we
Please
have
don't
to
get me
talk about
started.
this. So go ahead, Chill. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that was a real thing in
It's
college.
still a thing. It's
Okay.
still a thing.
Yeah.
And they still wanted to, they just, you know, but in college they figure they can get to know you enough. They drink a couple of beers with you and whatnot. Like, can I touch your hair? Like, what? Really? But yeah, so and it was questions.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
ain't
And
touching your hair.
hey, when I
Oh
was
man.
little and I really didn't know white people, I thought, okay, y'all go, Dosha, you ready for this one, Ladosha? When I was little, I thought that white, especially white women, I thought that their hair just grew like at the top of their head and just like hung down. I didn't know that it was hair all over their head. I thought it just, you know, came down and covered their hair.
Rashana. Rashana like Ladosha,
You
what do you
show your
want me to
age
do?
like Mr. Potato Head.
Hey, I'm saying, I'm just letting
Or
you
like
know,
the
but I was little.
Play-Doh.
I
You
didn't know.
push the thing and it come out just out the top.
Boom,
And
Yeah.
and
so,
just covered a.
see, again, this is why we need to have this
Oh
conversation, because
man, I can't.
there are a lot of people who still, think all white people have one kind of hair, all black people have a certain kind of hair. But Rashana, she's really bringing the truth about some of the things that we're hearing behind the chair. So, like, a person could be my complexion or darker, and they can have straight hair, and people are confused. They think that all dark complex people have this curly hair. They think
Mhm.
all light complex people have this soft, what they call pretty hair. And they're confused because they think that lighter complex people hair is more easier to manage. And I'll let Rashana maybe give her thoughts around it. But I often find that lighter complex women are the most underserviced women in the hair salon, because people really think that lighter complex people don't have texture. So, Rashana, can you talk to the myths that they have about the color of skin and how people
You
think
froze on us,
that
Dose,
hair
but I
is going
think
to be
she
better
has you
or
answer your
easier to
question.
manage? Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, a lot of people, like you said, some people who don't know the terminology, they say nappy hair, but we gonna call it 4C hair. So that's the word. I've seen it's some Caucasians who sometimes they have some curly hair. So it's never been, oh, if you light skin, you got pretty hair. I've seen some very beautiful black women who got the hair that's soft. It's fine hair. It's not good hair, bad hair. It's different textures and different levels of hair.
Yeah.
So and I've seen all that.
Okay, well, I have another question for Rashana, but do you also deal with maybe single fathers or fathers who find themselves, they might not be single fathers, but fathers who may have their daughters for, you know, the week or the weekend
Mhm.
or the month or the holidays. And, you know, because I know it was a couple times that I had to do my daughter's hair. Every time she ended up with a crazy looking ponytail. But have you had to deal with some of those fathers who need some information on taking care of their child's hair?
That's about, I want probably 30% or maybe more of my clientele is actually fathers. The women, they bring their children in, but it's also fathers who come in who, like you said, they're not single fathers, but they might have the kids for the weekend or they have them for the summer. Or it's some fathers who just don't like the way the mother might do their child's hair, or, you know, or
they want to
the
redo.
mother don't know.
Right.
So they say, I'm tired of her putting this hair in her head or doing this, doing that. So they have different complaints and issues and concerns. So I do have a lot of male clients that come in and bring their kids.
Okay, I was wondering that. All right, go ahead, Felicia. What do you got?
Well, I wanted to ask if you could speak, Ladosha, directly to our viewers and say, why is this something that they need to tune into to view, and what is it that they're going to leave with?
Okay, the number one reason I believe that people should join us on this Sunday, number one, is to clear the air about the misinformation. We need to let the world know that there is some history to hair, or texture hair on all people. This is not a Black thing. So we want to deracialize hair and put it in its proper context so that people can understand that. And we believe that when people, after they watch the segment, that they will definitely walk away with the right information. They will have resources like books. They'll have locations, phone numbers that they can actually call, people they can reach out to, places where they can go online. I know it's the pandemic, so some museums are not open all the way, but just where they can go, books they can read, places they can go. They're going to walk away with the right information and actual resources in real time that they can use immediately after watching the presentation.
Can you expound upon that a little bit when you say deracialized hair?
Well, because in America, hair is often associated with race. So, and that's what, Rashana was pointing out. And we see this in the salon a lot, where people think that all Black people have the same hair. And it's not true. And this is where, cosmetologists who know this, we really suffer a lot of backlash behind the chair because they're saying stuff to us like, well, Black hair, but like Rashana said, you can see 4C hair on a white person. It's not, the color of your hair does not determine the texture. I mean, the color of your skin does not determine the texture of your hair. So we don't service hair like Black hair. When Rashana and I see the texture, then we have to say, this is the best product. This is the best tool. This is the best technique for this texture. We don't care what color your skin is, what language you speak. We have to do the right thing for the texture. So we can't say, maybe Susan can maybe talk about some of the things that we've heard culturally, like Black people can't wash their hair like white people. Black people can't comb their hair. Dirt makes your hair grow. Rain, water is better for your hair. If two or more people, it's in your hair is
You're
gonna
gonna
fall
fall
out.
out.
If your
Yeah.
hair is on the floor and birds get to it, your
You
hair is
have a
gonna come
headache.
out. Yeah, I mean, people, and
Woo!
you can't
It's a
say
lot of them.
goodbye. You have to say mohair, and people are serious, and now we respect that, but it's not true. But like I said, we're hairstylists in our industry. We don't have the disciplines of psychology, history, geography. It's not a part of our education. But Rashana and I, because we go above and beyond what the cosmetology school has offered, we know this as experts, but it's not often taken seriously. So if we have this platform and we have these people from the right disciplines to say it themselves, it will give us credibility as cosmetologists when we say all Black people, all white people, all Puerto Ricans, all Russians, they don't have the same hair. They just don't, but people believe they do.
Okay, Felicia, I don't know if you want to, Sister Seisha
So let
Baker.
me ask.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I see that she does have a question that I want to throw out there, but I want to comment on what you said a little bit further. So are you saying that all of these things are just myths? So I'm asking that to say, like, where did these things come from? Why are people believing these? And is there any truth? So maybe not all Black people have hair like this or all white people, but is it ever safe to make a certain generalization? Like, well, maybe I can't, like when people say I can't wash my hair as often as a white person, because maybe white people's hair is more naturally oily where they have to wash it every day, where Black people need to add oil to their hair. So are you saying like none of these things are facts?
None,
Not
none,
where are they
none.
coming from?
Well,
We don't.
a lot of time, I'm sorry, a lot of
No, go
times
ahead.
people don't understand that the same skin that's on your body is the same skin that's on your head. So the skin that's on your head, on your scalp, is just the same as on your body. So some people have oily skin, some people have dry skin. That is the same as your hair, your scalp. So when someone says that, like, oh, I'm Black, I can't get my hair wet, or white people can, when they say that, it's not true, because some Caucasians have dry scalp and some have oily. So I mean, she might can answer where the myths come from. I don't know, but that's one of the reasons why it's not true.
Right. Yeah. It's never true. I don't know where they come from. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Susan or Tamika can maybe help us out. I have no idea, but I agree with Rashana. Under no circumstances should we ever say that Black people should shop down the ethnic aisle, and that Black people should, just do something as a group, because first of all, the customers on an intimate level, they don't like it. I mean, women will come to the hair salon and will say, please don't use on my hair what you use on her hair, because they know their hair is different. And they don't like the community bucket approach, contrary to popular belief, even though it's sold like that. Like Paul Mitchell might say, we have a line for people, or this company might say this line is for Black people. Rashad and I could testify there's going to be one Black person who would say that ain't gonna work for me. And that's because they know their hair is different. So there are no exceptions to that rule. Race is the last thing you want to associate with hair. You just don't want to do it.
Before Felicia gives another, and she may want to, I don't know if, well, I went away. I do want to say that I did put the link, my YouTube link, into the chat. So if anybody wants to make sure that they hit that up and go to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell and subscribe. I did put it in the chat. And I'd also like to thank whoever, I don't know if it was Ladosha, if it was Sean, has 50 people sharing this show today. So whichever one it was of y'all, big ups to that. But I know it's between the two of you guys. So yeah, big ups to that. But go ahead, Felicia. I don't know if I interrupted you.
So we do have a question from the chat that says, why is hair graded as being grade A when it's straight and 4C if it's tightly coiled?
So this is what we know so far. So far we know for sure that the hair mapping, which is where you take numbers to associate the actual textures, and then you use letters to give you the degree of how loose or tight the texture is. We know
We're
that
getting
this
a little bit of a
originally.
connectivity issue with you, Dosha. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Can you hear me?
Is that better?
I can hear you.
Is that better?
Are you saying something, Chill? You're muted. Yeah,
No, I was saying I
It's
can hear
better right now.
Ladosha. I was saying I can hear Ladosha.
Okay,
And
so
it's
as
better.
I was saying, okay, so we know for sure that the hair mapping system, where the numbers 1 through 4 is telling you the textures, and then the letters A, B, and C is giving you the degree of how loose or how tight that texture is. We know that that system originally started by Mr. Andre Walker. He was Oprah Winfrey's former hairstylist. He created the system to help you shop within his line of hair care products. Then the natural hair movement, they took it and they jacked him for his stuff, and then they just blew it all out of context, to me, for one reason and one reason only: to make money. But textures are just too vast to put them in 4 categories, because again, and Rashana, maybe you could speak to this as well, but we'll have people that will come in and say, I'm 4C, but could it be a D because my curl pattern is, everybody's going to say, excuse me, that is something different. So scientifically, we know, we're taught as cosmetologists that it is the shape of the follicle that determines your texture. The lowest scale and the FIA scale, those will never work, because you could be 4C sitting there, but once you put water on it, it might turn to 3C. When you flat iron it, it might turn to 1A, you see? So, but we understand that the culture of the natural hair movement is in existence. So like Rashana said, we have to use the language, because now our customers are talking this way. So to be user friendly, we'll use it. But we do understand that the number systems, to me, they're just to help make money and to get followers, but it just doesn't always jive, because the hair textures are like people. No two heads of hair are alike, not even identical twins. I mean, even identical twins, their hair texture has. And Rashana, I don't know, what do you think?
No, I think everybody here is different. It's like no two heads that's like the same. It's some people who they have thinner hair in the middle and thicker in the back. Sometimes on the sides it's fuller on one side or the other, and it's not always necessarily because they're born like that. It's because of the maintenance or the mismaintenance of their hair.
Yeah, and
By
so
the time
all
they
that,
get in the salon, what their hair is kind of sometimes from what they've done previous in the past. So now you do have this texture here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you were born with.
yeah. So I disagree with those systems, but like she said, we have to use them. But like Rashana said, maybe Susan can help us out about these myths. I just don't know. I don't know,
Well,
Susan. Maybe you
I'm
can.
gonna speak to the 4C and all this other stuff. I was, as I was listening to you talk about them, there's this connotation that's from ABC, like grades. A is good and the C is not so good, and a D and an F. And I think we internalize that too. Well, I have a 4C. Well, your hair's not as nice as that because yours is not a C. So you could do it. I mean, I have get into these debates, and I'm like, you don't know the struggle is real. It just so happens that my DNA, my sister and I do not have the same hair. My mother and I do not have the same hair. And it grows really long. But hers doesn't grow really long. Another reason it grows really long is because of what Rashana just said. I'm not over manipulating it, frying it. I'm not even dyeing it anymore, even though I had the master colorist doing it for a number of years. And it's not that deep to me. But water is my friend when I need to clean it and I want it to be curly. But if I want to wear a straight look, water is not my friend, because it'll just start zzz. And my texture is not the same when I was a baby, when I was a young child, when I was a teen. Woo. Hormones, all those things play a role. Ladosha has taught me about medicines and different health situations that we each have. that will change the texture of your hair, will change the density of your hair. My mother has diabetes and her hair is thinner now, and she's also older than when she was younger. And some medicines will make you lose hair, and some will make you grow hair. I mean, it's a lot of, and what products, how much you put in. Ladosha is a good for say a pea size, just a pea size, not, and do like this. See, I have taken all the lessons and I try to follow them so I could do them in her absence. I can't sit there every day, whether I was in Cleveland or in Naptown, saying, hey, who's gonna do this? I need to know how to do this. And do it so that I'm not embarrassing myself and my family and my friends when I walk outside in the street. But so some of that, what we got in the lexicon right now, it may have started with Mr. Andre, but now in the YouTubes, but I think Chris Rock's document, his movie, Good Hair.
Mhm.
And we got this long legacy, but that ABC, C4, it sounds like you in a bad people's class, I mean, it's just some nonsense that we continue to perpetuate amongst ourselves, on ourselves. I've had people say, oh, you don't know anything about a hot comb. I said, I am. It's got PTSD every time I see one. And, and the exhibit, we got all these hot combs, and I brought some in. I was like, oh, and I still got one too. How about that? But I remember sitting there all daggone day. I'm like ready to go. And so some people think this is like this because it comes like this. It didn't come like this. I had to make it like this.
Come on now. There you go.
Yeah, I had to
You
make
have
it
to put
like
some
this.
work
And he
in.
is my friend. I have been sitting at the knee of the master of Miss Ladosha so long, I could recite a lot of that stuff, chapter and verse. Plus, I got my own lived experience of hair salon blues, burnt scalp from relaxers, products, and I'm old, so the products of the 60s and the 70s are not the products that we use today, but they can cause some of the same amount of damage when you don't know what the heck you're doing. So we historically get caught up in what we look like and what somebody else thinks we should look like. And right now, the natural hair care industry is rather interesting to me, having lived through the 70s of afros. I mean, we've always, as Ladosha said, wore cornrows from before the ships sailed. But that's not a natural style. Your hair doesn't grow out your head in braids. So the fact that you don't have a chemical in your hair, what's it got to do with your braids or your cornrows, and added on braids that ain't even our hair that gets put in there. That's another story too.
Yeah.
But our hair doesn't grow out of our hair in braids. So what's natural? It's a manipulated moment.
All right. Now, I do want to say, as we get ready to close it down, again, I've put the YouTube channel link into the chat. If anybody, that is the channel that this discussion will be at. It'll be on the Kevin Chill Herd YouTube channel. You can simply go to YouTube and just look up Kevin Chill Herd on YouTube. But the link is provided for you in the chat right now. Ladosha, one more time, give us all the details that we need to be reminded of for this event.
So if everyone could just be so kind to set your reminders, number one. Number two, please share the flyers, the posts that we have on social media so that we can have this well attended. This is not a Black thing. It's for everybody, and it's going to be this Sunday. It's called Textured Tales. It's going to be this Sunday at 3:00 p.m. And it's going to be myself. It's going to be the lovely Miss Rashana Bates, the world's sexiest historian, Susan Hall Dotson, Dr. Tamika Ellington, Mary O, and Mr. Kofi Paisai. And this will be moderated by Kevin Chill Herd. Hopefully, Felicia, you'll be in the house to help, get up some juice too.
All right. Well, Ladosha, I cannot wait. I appreciate you being on here. Certainly, Rashana, Susan, always good to see you. Look forward to seeing all of you guys again on Sunday. Again, this is going to be on the Kevin. All the information says the Kevin Chilherd YouTube channel, but I have the actual link in the chat right now. If you guys want to go to it and hit the notification bell, and if you like, hit the subscribe button, or you can just show up on Sunday and just hang out. But you may find some things on the channel. Certainly, Ladosha's on there on enough programs. But yeah, so just take part, look around, and certainly would love to see you guys on Sunday. Anybody else have anything to say before we sign off? I see brothers from my man Sutek from the Kofi Pie Side research team will be in the building, and appreciate you guys for sharing this, all of these shares that we have. So we have a lot of eyes on us right now. Appreciate it. And while we have all these eyes on here, remember, if you want to donate to Chill Talk, hit us up on Cash App, $ @money, 2 chill. Also, if you want to subscribe to the Kevin Chilherd YouTube channel, you see it connected right now. You can subscribe, hit the notification bell, and certainly be on hand for this event. Ladosha, look at that on your wrist. What kind of new joint is that you have on your wrist?
Love, of course. You know I love love.
That's what's up. All right, Susan Hall, anything to say before we sign off?
I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm gonna
All
be on
right.
my laptop, so I have some Madam Walker pictures behind me.
Okay, Sister Rashana.
See everybody Sunday. That's it.
The super producer, Felicia Haney. Any shout outs before we shut it down?
Shout out to my mama, whose birthday is tomorrow.
There we go.
My mother
There
and
we
my
go.
uncle, actually, they share the same birthday.
All
Happy
right.
birthday.
And to all the people that tuned in, my brother Sutek, Kadeem, my man AP, Maruk, that's my boy. That's the gang. So yeah, what's going on, everybody? And as we sign out, you know how we do it. We get ready to throw up the deuces. See you guys on Sunday. Myself, the super producer, Felicia Haney. We up out of here.
Thank you so much.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.